Good morning. I am higher vibrations and so are you. And boy, oh boy, am I excited for this conversation today. I've been looking forward to it for some time. Just in case those of you that are in the audience, just in case you don't know, uh, Guardian and Yolanda Marie here were and have continued to be two fundamental, foundational examples of being on YouTube. And like it was both of them specifically that actually encouraged me, whether they meant to or not, to go ahead and do what I'm doing. And so it's such a joy to have both of you here at the same time. It's quite an honor. So I just want to say welcome and thank you for coming. How are you doing today?
Doing good. The energy is already palpable. I don't know about you guys because we didn't talk about that, but I can literally already feel it from who's coming and what's going on around us.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, same thing here as well. Sleep has been quite a bit erratic, like vivid dreams, if anyone else was experiencing that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I,
Yeah.
No, go
it's
ahead, Pam.
it's been a crazy couple of forevers, really, when you get down to it. But so the past 2 weeks, it's increased more and more the closer we've gotten to today. And regarding the different ascension symptoms and stuff, the sleep stuff, we're realizing on a higher level that we're actually, or on a deeper level, that we're connecting with committee members. We're in a committee of some type. There's conversations with these other beings, and a lot of reports of other people having this thing. This is what I find the most fun. Because Garden, you brought up this dream thing. I'm just going to say this is that I'll be in these conversations and I'll have very little awareness that it's weird that I'm there. And then, but these are the things that I bring back with me is we're around a group of people and they're all different. A lot of them could pass as us. You know what I mean? Like they're not like, something you see on a movie. And what's really fun though, this is the part I was going to say, is that then there'll be others like us, like me, that are like kind of like static, and they're not able to tune in exactly. So they're like, they'll show up and then they'll be gone again. And they'll always say something like, what like they're freaked out. And they're all over. And it's like the other people that they're talking to us don't seem to like take mind to it. Like they don't really, it's like normal to, and every once in a while you'll hear a remark like, they're waking, they're doing it, it's happening. But other than that, they won't mention these guys that are like
Popping
popcorn.
in and out.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. Do you feel like that's a spark of just what they were saying, like coming into this frequency, but then freaking out and not knowing what it is?
Yeah.
You
And they
know.
always make some kind of exacerbated statement. Like, I'm not going to say all the 4-letter words that get said, but yeah.
Oh, I haven't had that happen recently. That sounds a lot like what was happening. Oh gosh, we always go back, what, the 5 years? Or it seems like there is this 4 to 5 year window where we've come full circle, or we're about to, something like that. But yeah, or maybe it's just when you're waking up into your gifts and the extrasensory stuff,
Mhm.
and you're tuning in that way because early on, I wasn't getting the people popping in like you, Pamela, but yeah, I was definitely highly aware of being on, I'm going to call it a council, but I don't mean like the Arturian council, obviously, but like, like the round table sort of situation.
Yeah.
Um, and, but I'm being, so I just do want to mention though, and this is going to sound, we all know what this sounds like sometimes. So if you're new coming in, just relax and feel into your truth and everything, obviously, or maybe not so obviously, but we do have higher aspects already on extra galactic or intergalactic, I think extra planetary councils. There's the word. So, councils of beings that don't have origins on Earth at all. So it'd be like, Arcturians or a collective, and they're aligned to purpose. And I know we've talked about this before, but they are aligned to purpose. And so with how thin, let's just call it the veil. No one's calling it that right now, and it's because there's hardly any. But what we were calling the veil, that layer, that dense layer is dissipating so much that those higher aspects, for instance, the people popping in, they're waking up, they're able to feel into those higher aspects more intuitively.
Yeah.
And those of us who are already grounded into a lot of higher frequencies, it's like instant, whether you're conscious of it or not. So you would call that like integration, so that is what integrating that component is, where you are instant, that knowledge and that being is instantly available to you. So that's so cool, Pamela, popping in. That's
It's
so
bizarre.
Cool. Yeah.
And it helps us to know why we're so tired too. Those of us who don't have recollection of this, like, I think that all of us are having experiences in some type of astral state, and speaking of communication, this does segue into a question I thought would be good to discuss today. A lot of people have been reaching out to me talking about they're getting messages and it's freaking them out. They're getting for the first time communication, as we would call it channeling. Channeling would be to have a conversation with another individual, basically, that we don't have right in front of us where we can see that individual always. Sometimes you can, though. That's another part of it. Sometimes you'll see a being and you'll also be feeling them speaking through you. There's consent involved, and there's a lot of other things. So you don't have to feel like you'll get hijacked, but they will come in when it's time, so we're here in a group full of channelers. So I thought this would be a really great time to talk about that. Like, what was it like for you? How did you figure it out? And what are some good suggestions that might help others?
Okay, who should start?
Well, I do want to say one thing about what I don't want to answer the question though, but before I forget, when you mentioned the word hijacked, and I know for sure, Guardian, you will. I've heard you speak about this, maybe not using the term hijacked, but just about
like interference or something.
Yes, interference. That's one thing, and one window into what we feel like is a hijacking. Yes, and then also just a higher being. Now, this is something that I hadn't heard from. I mean, dare I say, I don't like to really use the word client. We're all brothers and sisters, and that always feels so weird. That's that businessy 3D stuff, right? But somebody that came to me for a session, and not to put too much out there about it, but I feel it happening on a broader scale, because then after this session, I began to, and it works that way, run into other people who had similar or are having right now similar experiences, even up to just seeing them on YouTube, which is not even a small deal. That's a huge deal to see somebody who'd never even posted a video be urged to come on and give messages. Like, I have to give these messages out of nowhere, but this client. So I really want to get Guardian's take on this too, just in general, of course. But I should say this phenomenon, it's not about necessarily the client per se, but whoever's going through this, there was a higher aspect of herself and a higher being. It was more than one being. But basically, it almost felt like, and permission was given. But the thing is, once permission is given, are you really ready to allow and embody all of this energy? Or even you won't necessarily embody it immediately anyway, but allow that energy to begin to come in. Are you prepared for that? That's just a blanket statement I'm making to start to bring that to our consciousness and talk about it, because there were a lot of experiences that can be really, really scary, just like what I'm sure we're alluding to, super scary, daunting, can be physical, emotional. I know I've been through a lot of this myself. I know Guardian has, for sure. Pamela, I feel like you've even spoken about with your experiences, some really like quirky, interesting experiences of feeling into beings or energies, Yeah, so, all right. I just wanted to get that out.
Awesome. Yeah. What I wanted to get out is regarding information. Like I know, especially me, and I also what I got from other people is like when we start to receive information or communication, like we expect it to happen in this mundane way, like just as we are used to talking to each other and like receiving information back in the same way as we do right now.
Mm-hmm.
But not all beings function the same way. So rather than having this expectation that you want to have like a very exact, some information conveyed to in a very exact way, just as you're used to doing every day, just rather let that go and just like try to receive information in whatever shape or form it comes. Like it can come in just like concepts or symbols or just a higher understanding regarding a specific topic or like information dump or I don't know, like it can come in various ways. Or also Mila mentioned that someone like senses like communication or information coming from trees or different types of animals, I think. And like they also like they don't function the same way we do, so like don't necessarily expect to receive information the same way. They, for example, like plants, they hold information or store records of what have happened there, and of course you can communicate in a certain way, but like don't expect the same level of communication as with higher beings, for example.
Right.
Or if maybe other higher beings come from a different dimension, their minds function differently, they have a different emotional body,
Yeah.
they have a different mental body that functions in some cases in a more peaceful way, much slower way, or there are ETs that are like super erratic and like on
Very fast.
steroids mentally. Or some of them have a very potent emotional body, some of them lack an emotional body, which can be scary for
Yeah.
some people,
Mhm.
because like we are very much used to, when we're communicating with each other, we are very much used to having this back and forth energy of like familiar energy that we're used to sensing, and we are like emitting and communicating your own energy forward, and you're not really getting anything back, or what you're getting back is very weird to say the least, because it
Mhm.
can feel very alien for some people. That can be very scary, and especially in the beginning. But yeah, like then you can just think about it as just a different type of consciousness functioning in a different way, or just like a different expression of self in
Yeah.
general.
Mm.
And then we can go more deeper into the scary stuff. But now I feel that I have to stay silent and let you guys take over.
I am really glad you brought that up, because I always forget to mention that like that my first time in connecting with energies that were, I would say, I felt like they were void of emotion,
Mhm.
but it was more like talking to Spock, I guess. Like there's emotion there. It's just advanced and so balanced that it is very subtle. And yeah, it was off-putting for me at first. I was just like, it, I don't know, if someone doesn't have emotion, you almost feel like they're not actually organic. Like, you know what I mean? Like they're good,
Yeah.
And so, yeah, knowing that really is helpful. And here's something I learned. This is my like favorite tip that I share with everybody that'll listen. Is that all this stuff aside will come pretty much naturally to you. What was really useful for me was that discernment part. When we first started to get interaction, it's like, is this someone I want to be communing with? You know what I mean? And the best way for me to discover that was to utilize the heart center energy when you are about to say I love you to someone you love dearly. Like, think about what that feels like just before the words leave your lips. Just it comes up right here, like in the higher heart area, and it's sent out to that person when you say I love you to them. Well, you do the same thing, and it's cool too, because it comes out like a small sphere and then it just and it goes all around. Well, sending out love like that to whoever's interacting with you, if they are of love, they'll return the love. If they're not, they will flee. They don't like being in that love. It's like icky for them. And so it will send away anyone that you don't want around, and you'll get the return benefit for those that are of that higher frequency that you want to connect with.
Yeah, like many times they will reflect that back to you, sometimes tenfold, and it can be very overwhelming, emotional.
Yeah. And your adrenaline, so you're all shaky.
Yeah, like, or just in general, like when you're connecting with higher vibrational beings, like I don't really get that anymore. But in the beginning, like it can feel very overwhelming because they are of a different vibration. Like they function in a much more intense way than we do. So their energy, even though they only like trickle their own energy a bit by bit to us, so we only receive a very small portion of who they are.
Right.
Like it can feel very overwhelming. And I know like I struggled with that for a few years. Like they train me to like learn to hold my own energy center basically, so I'm not overwhelmed by that like showering of energy just coming all my way.
Yeah.
Because yeah, like the one way you can recognize how that's happening is that you kind of lose your sense of self, and you like start to like completely take over and embody the energy of that specific being.
Yeah.
Like that's when they usually stop. They're like, okay, like I know a connection failed, next time, bye.
Yeah, that's good.
That's when they leave.
That's a really good point. That sense of self. And there was, before we continue, there were a couple things I was like glancing at the comments in and out,
Mhm.
And so there's a couple. Let me just, so Mariette,
Yep.
am I saying it right? Okay, I don't feel lighthearted or loving these days, more annoyed and frustrated by the physical discomfort and the chaos and suffering worldwide. Okay, so talk about very relevant subject matter at the moment. So you're voicing it. Thank you for giving a voice to that, Mariette, because a lot of people aren't able to put a voice to that because they're not sure that that's what's happening with them. Whether or not we are engaging with it consciously, if we are not, so if you're not aware of it in any way and you're holding a particular frequency, then you're not likely to be affected by it, if that makes sense. But if you are not engaging with it necessarily, but you're not able to hold, which there are many reasons for this. We're living a human experience, so it's not a judgment, believe me. But if you're just not able to sustainably hold, like consistently, that's a better word, hold a particular frequency or spectrum of frequencies, an array of them, so that could have to do with where you have to maybe go to work every day or choose to. Maybe you love your job, but there's something going on there, whatever the situation is or who you're around. It could literally be the neighborhood you live in and you're unaware of how dense it is. Anyway, the point is a lot of people can't put voice to that. So if you couple you're not able to consistently hold a high enough vibration to keep tuning into the expansion beyond the broader planetary shenanigans. Okay, so if that's happening, you're still privy to the effects of them. Okay, let me try to say that in a way that's not so convoluted or wordy or whatever. Okay, so you could literally be shutting off all the news and not tuning into anything that's going on. But if you're also not aware to consistently pay attention to where your frequency is, okay? And this can be an annoying subject, trust me. It's like, okay, well, what do I do with that? But it just is what it is because this is more a matter of law, okay? It kind of goes beyond the whole choice point. There's always a choice point, okay? So I don't mean that, but this is just what's occurring. It's like the true law of the universe, the true universal law beyond what we've been taught, okay? So frequency and vibration, we're talking about that. So regardless, you want to like try to at least be aiming for that, not necessarily forcing yourself to be in a certain emotion or state, but pay attention to where you are in space and time. And then the other stuff tends to fix itself. All right. And there's ways to finagle that. So to Mariette, If you don't feel lighthearted or loving these days and more annoyed and frustrated by the physical discomfort and chaos and suffering worldwide, that wanted to be read again. What you want to do is don't tune so much into the suffering worldwide, which is going to seem, it may produce some cognitive dissonance because you care about what's going on in the world around you, and rightfully so. So it is like a walking and a chewing gum here. It is like, yeah, it's like you are aware that these shenanigans are happening and may even be happening to you. We're still walking along the physical trail. So some of them are going to physically be happening to us, but try to tap in more to your innate knowledge that what is seen in the physical it comes after what is produced in the non-physical. Okay. They're tuning into what needs to be heard here. And so, yeah, so none of what is happening is actually real, which is a freaky concept. Okay, because we're experiencing it. But also, if you want to live the experience, which is agreed upon by us, then you would say, well, if it was already created, let me create something new. So it's like you're just retraining the way you think about it. Once you retrain the way you think about it, you kind of can super fast, like shot put your way into being able to vibrate differently and see this thing differently. And not only are you helping yourself to feel less frustrated, but you're helping the environment around you shift. Because when you shift, you are emanating that. And little do you know, even though you're one person, it's going to be extremely contagious. So and you won't see it necessarily right away, but there will be, what do you call that, guys? Like a cascade type of effect. And it's planetary at this point. It's not relegated to just your neighborhood or your house or any of it. I went long. Yeah, but that.
Well, Spirit gave you thumbs up while you were talking, so.
Yeah, absolutely.
The ghost in the machine showed up, did it?
Yep.
Yeah, I can also absolutely agree to what... Oh, she disappeared.
Oh, I moved it.
Said,
I'll bring it back.
shared. Yeah, and also just watched this morning your message for the 5-5 portal of this like whole concept that there's a type of fight or like this push to like hold on to the old stuff, how things were in the past, but at the same time we're like showered and like washed over by these new energies coming in that are like pushing the change, that are pushing us to evolve and to like move past the old crap that we've been so used to perpetuating over and over again. But yeah, in the side there are people who are not ready to let it go, and yeah, like we're also experiencing that here locally in my end of the world. So,
Right.
But yeah, for some people, I know it's scary, but like what I see is like what needed to happen already happened, and like what we're experiencing right at the moment are just like echoes of some past shadow that like still remains and like needs to like empty out of our system.
Right.
And the only reason why we're still seeing it because like some people still hold on to it very much. So
almost as if
try
they still
to balance it
require
out. I'm sorry.
I just didn't mean to cut you off like I did. I thought you had finished. I'm sorry. I just said almost as if they require it.
Mm. Well, there is some part of us that does require the familiarity, the safety, what is known feels it, because so our body responds to chemicals in a way that give us either pleasure or safety. It's chemicals basically. And so we want to cut to the chase here. I'm going to go long again, but a lot of you, like, I bet most of the chat will be able to explain this even better than me, I'm sure, because you guys know. But yeah, the chemicals in our body tend to run things until we like are aware that we can shift, like think on purpose, like sort of focus on purpose. And then the way that they express themselves can change to meet that new standard. But yes, so familiarity and safety is a doozy. So it's very crazy making, and it can be very scary to step into a new thought and think, but what if it doesn't work out? What if that doesn't work out? Also, there's a lot of this going on in the body. Oh, that's interesting, because earlier I had this experience myself about something else. But our bodies have been so wound up, depending, and I mean, it's going to depend on, which country you're in, culture, if it's going through some, turmoil at the moment. I mean, it's going to vary. There's a scale here, but across the board, compared to how much the frequency on the planet has expanded, and as Guardian put it, now we have access to all of these really wonderful frequencies, and people are getting activated left and right. That feels so much different to the being so wound up, really in the solar plexus, especially, like the will of the people hasn't been honored. Not to bring, it's like, here we go. No, but that has happened, but we're walking and chewing gum, right? But it does have to do with the willpower to break through that. Okay, and we've known to break through that through battle, through fighting something, pushing up against something. Well, now that's shifting. The pushing up against something at this point would be dropping in frequency to an extent. And, and it will have to happen for a little while on the planet. It's not necessarily wrong, but it's just going with the flow now is really going to be, it's like floating. It's like you'll be able to just float to the surface of something rather than trying to shove your way through all of this muck.
Right.
So, yeah.
And along with that, go ahead, Guardian.
I just wanted to add, expand on what Yolanda said. We're learning to function in a new way. So far we've been used to working in a physical, if you wanted something done, that you had to make it happen and force it to happen. And these are all concepts of the ego mind, basically, very three-dimensional way of functioning. And in the spiritual realms, that doesn't work. So if you want to force something to happen energetically, or if you want to make something happen that was not intended to happen or stuff like that, it just simply won't work. So you can't force that stuff. So in the higher realms, it's a different way of functioning. It's more all about having a clear intent and allowing things to unfold in the proper order and balance for the highest good of all life, rather than forcing your own concepts onto something else, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
That's the message that Archangel Michael had just shared with me. I made a meme out of it, but it was telling us that we'd been for so long trying to be the banks of the river when we're actually the river itself.
Yeah.
And instead we were meant to flow. And those may think that flowing has nothing to do with being powerful, but these rivers are what cut the world around us. You've seen some of these canyons that they can create, and allowing yourself to kind of pull away from trying to steer gives you the ability to steer in a different, more powerful way. It's like realizing that you're not in control, and then therefore you are. It's an irony that isn't fully, it's a paradox, I guess.
It's not fully understood yet. And water is life. Right. On top of, it's the source, basically, not of all creation necessarily. It's part of the creation, but it is a major source of life. So we're breathing life into this thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that segues into something so P Factor mentioned plasma here. Plasma moves through everything: solar plasma, moon plasma, water plasma, blood plasma, air plasma, ether, earth plasma. And this is something that just happened that I wanted to make sure I brought up today. So a lot of us are feeling more ascension symptoms, and ascension symptoms aren't always physical or just physical. And I don't know how many of you, I'm sure many here that we're talking to, you guys as well as in the audience, the past couple of days have been pretty intense. Well, guess what? We just had some crazy stuff leave the sun, and we're expecting to have a G2 or a G3 tomorrow, geomagnetic storm, and they often will tell us, science will tell us that, you're going to feel it when it gets there. Well, I always feel it before. And excuse me, Guardian, but I also started my period a week early. Like I also have like all kinds of weird stuff going on. Heart palpitations are being crazy right now. Like my ears are doing some weird activation thing that they haven't ever done before. All kinds of weird. The top of my head, there's something going on with the top of my head. It's all happening all at the same time, and so for anyone who's listening and wondering, you're not alone, and there's a cause. It's good though. It's meant all of this. I know one of the people are always saying, when are these going to be over? Well, there's many steps on the stairway. You don't want to stop in the middle or go back. So we're still ascending or transcending, whatever it is that you're doing, and it's one step at a time. If you'll notice, if you look back in a couple of weeks ago, you're a whole different person than you were then, and you've improved in many ways. And so, and on top of that, the ascension symptoms you're experiencing now are likely different. They've improved in some way. It's just harder to see it when it's a gradual process. So,
you know what I see there? Guardian, before I start, do you have anything you want to say? Because you know how this goes with me.
Please go on.
Okay, this won't be too, but when you were saying that the heart expansion is so broad, that's having an effect on the way that we are experiencing like ascension. So I guess it could have an effect on the physical symptoms as well, I would think, because everything is frequency, and that's got its own specific sort of resonance as well, and how it interacts with the rest of your field, the rest of your chakras, your body. But also I've noticed just more of an emotional awakenings, heart connected awakenings, just new ways of seeing things. Everything is bringing up tears, which are healing, and bringing up emotional memories so you can clear them. A lot more of that stuff happening. Just connecting a lot more random experiences to the heart, almost like automatically. Yeah. And as that will breaks up, so that will, like the planetary will, everybody was so wound up. It was interesting because when I was talking about it, I could feel it. And then when we switched the topic, now it's like relaxed. So it's like something shifting even as we're talking about it. But as that unclogs itself, for lack of a better way to say it, that's not really what's happening. Okay. But that's what it's putting me in the mind of, like a pipe that was clogged or something like that. As that's unclogging, and then the heart's opening at the same time, that's very, very powerful. Think about that for a minute, the engine that creates. Yeah.
Guardian, have anything to add before? I want to give you the chance, Guardian. I don't want to.
Okay. Yeah, I would like circle back to the whole channeling stuff. Like if you're having heart activations, like you tune into your heart, like whenever you want to like reach out to receive information or connect to something, and like tune into your heart frequency and like try to hold that as best as you can. Get used to that space, and like reach out with that energy into the cosmos or wherever you want to go. And like you will receive back energies that are in resonance with that. And like basically you're setting the tone for what you want to receive back, because whatever you do, like even if you like try to tap into different types of energies or try to channel in the beginning and you're like not really healed or balanced, then you will attract something always that is in tune with you. So if you have nasty stuff inside of you and you have a lot of fears or trauma carrying in your body and field, then you will bring basically everything will reflect back to you what you're already carrying within yourself. So you will be attracting beings that will perpetuate or intensify that trauma in your body or the nasty experiences that you had in the past. So first work on yourself as best as you can, and always reach out from your heart center.
That's really good to bring up. Go ahead, Yolanda.
No. I was going to say the same thing. Like that's great that you were bringing that up. And it's a process. I was going to say that too. So, I mean, there's no perfect, right? But yeah, you definitely want to be, I agree 1000%, reaching through your heart. That's just the way I say it. It's the same thing. Everybody's different. For me, I literally visualize my heart field. Not everybody needs to do that. Some people just feel it, intend it. Pamela, the way that you said that, I hadn't had it put to me that way before. Just reach out as if you're saying, I love you. That is a great tool, and send it out that way through that sort of intention. And then what comes back. So all these are great. I do want to mention one thing that came through from the Arturians, but it definitely was not the first time that it had come through or that it had even been said to me, but it was just a different way. So if you're already channeling and or you're already feeling into a lot of energy, so you don't necessarily have to be channeling messages, but you're integrating your higher aspects, for instance, something like that. A lot of you, which I hadn't realized and I'm realizing now, are actually embodying these higher aspects much more quickly and easily because of the fact that the frequency is so different now. It is so much more accessible.
Yeah.
So one thing that you want to do to get prepared, well, the first thing is do exactly what Guardian said, and just really work inwardly on self first, like no matter what, be working on that. And as you're doing that and going through this process, you want to also remember that your will be done. Basically, you are in charge. You're the authority on who gets to come into contact with your consciousness, period. Like, and full stop. Full stop. There's no higher aspect of yours that's going to demand that you do something, or, they'll be in agreement with you and you'll want to do it. Okay, so if that's the case, that's fine. But if there's some sort of sticking point, or fear or anything like that, you're not running out of time. Like you have time. So there's that. So you are the authority. You can always say full stop. And to come circle back around to both you guys, remember that if it really is in congruence with you, it's going to back off just naturally, and it's going to flow with you. It's going to flow with you. Yeah. I'm not going to say I haven't run into a being, and we're going to circle back to this. Actually, I have. So, but for the most part, I've been the one in charge. Yes, I had Arturians contact me, but I recognize them. Right. Okay. So that's something to really think about. And it felt natural. It felt like love automatically. Same with Archangel Michael, same with all of my guides, and especially my lead guide, who happens to be an Orion. Well, Orions are specialists in what we're going through on the planet right now. So back 4 years ago, when I mentioned that he was an Orion, some groups of people they thought that maybe I was dark, all of this stuff. Like, no, these beings have already gone through what we're going through. They've already transcended that. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of them are specialists, and we have many, many different galactic beings. So the other point, so to come back to that, so if you are ready for that, so you've gone through all these stages, and I'll try to, speed this along a little bit, but if you've gone through all these stages and you're having trouble physically, it's going to depend on how you channel. I'm very physical, and a lot of people are, okay? I have to picture, and I don't have to do it on purpose anymore. But I used to, with the help of Daniel Scranton, actually taught me this, you guys. Listen, if you can get a session with Daniel Scranton, he's amazing as well, okay? And he may not teach this exact thing anymore, and I won't go into every single detail of it. But one thing that confirmed for me what I was doing was going to him. So you don't have to go to him and know nothing. You can be a channeler and go to him, and he'll confirm a lot of things, actually, if you're even on the fence and you're not sure. So anyway, one thing that I used to have to do after talking to Daniel that really helped me was make sure that I remember what exactly the universe is. Now, this is not how he said it to me. He will say this to you differently. This is not what he said, okay? But this is how I, years later, now think of it. So if you remember that everything is actually happening in an instant, like a pinprick, like there's a nexus point, and then the reality blooms. And the reality that blooms is actually a projection. It's actually created by you. It's your perception. So even that is not necessarily what we would, from the outside, think of as physical, according to what we consider physical, okay? Everything really exists outside of space and time and all at once. So consider that. So imagine for a moment that your field can just bloom and expand until it is much, much larger. It not only encompasses, is that the word? I'm having word troubles. Encompasses the earth, encompasses the sun and the moon, but the entire galaxy, and then the next galaxy, and then the universe, and you have everything inside of you. So if you hold everything inside of you, there's nothing that can come. So if you have a higher being integrating itself into your field, it will be very comfortable. It will have plenty of space to fit anywhere, because it's no longer about your physical body. So this is another one of those way to trick your body into agreeing with what you want. And what happens, what's really actually happening is it's just rearranging in, according to our particular universe, the quantum information in a specific way to make everything more comfortable for you. Okay. So none of this, just to be clear, I'm not giving away what Daniel taught exactly. None of this is what he said, you guys. So go see Daniel. He'll be better. But this is what I now, if I have to come back around to do, okay? And I've done this with people, and this works. So there are lots of these little windows in that you're really in charge. We're really in charge of our experience, much, much more than we realize. Is it possible for me to say one more thing, or I don't want you to forget what you're going to say?
I can wait. I wrote it down.
Okay. Oh, see, bless you. All right. You knew who you were talking to today. You brought you a notebook. Yes. Okay. Very good. So the other thing that I want to point out, when there were two things said that triggered this memory and the confirmation from my guides and the Arturians to bring this up, okay? This is huge, especially with the crowd that's coming through here, especially with the amount of power. And I'm dragging this out for a reason. I want to say all these words for a reason. They will activate. They're very activational, because you might know that you have this power, you might not know. Okay. So when Pamela was talking about coming through the heart, sending out love, however you do it, and I love her way, just by speaking it and feeling it come up through your throat and sending out love to a being to test whether this being is there for, as part of your aligned path, aligned with you or not, is perfect. So if you send that out, there's another thing that can happen. Many of these beings, okay, first of all, everything has a higher self, okay? You're going up levels here. It's not just humans, okay? Think of it more like a pyramid, okay? All right, until you get to source. Now, that's not really what's happening, but just think of it like that. So if this being is coming to you all willy-nilly trying to trick you, and you're sending it out, this pure light energy, it's likely, depending on the being, that you're clearing it.
Yeah.
You're clearing things from this being. That's why they flee. They either don't know they're ready to, what we call, heal, become whole, become closer to source, whatever, or their higher selves have sent them to you.
Right.
Okay. So back in the beginning, I was doing this willingly before a lot of other things came to my attention, and, things happened in my life and pulled me away from it. But literally, like, for instance, we'll just use reptilians as an example, but we won't go too much into that the duality of that, the polarity of that. That's the word I really want to use. But this was 5 years ago. There's a lot of fear going around, and some of them would show up to me, or somebody would have a problem with one, and I would just ask its higher self, literally. The Arturians would say, always get permission from the higher self. Ask its higher self, if you have permission to clear this being. And I would literally commune with this being and clear it. And then it would be free. It no longer was beholden to that group, whatever it was answering to. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't know if a lot of people out there understand that that's even a possibility, that these beings, because we just think of ourselves as tiny little humans that don't have any power, right? I wouldn't suggest that you willy-nilly do this, though.
Okay.
I'm saying if a being comes to you, I just want to introduce to this audience the possibilities at this point. Don't do something if you are not comfortable doing it, haven't done it before. Learn more. But these are things that are happening.
Right.
Yeah.
And I was going to show a diagram that kind of talked about what you were. Oh, you can't really see it. So
Here we go.
This visual is looking down, and this is actually a full circle. If you look from the side, it's a spiral. This right here, this top part, it broke. It's creator source. It's God, whatever you want to call it.
Mhm.
And it broke. It separated twice. So there's an example of this above and below. You can call it divine feminine and divine masculine. Oh, come on. And there we go. So this isn't exactly what it looks like. This is just a visual that Spirit showed me to help convey this message. So if you go way down here, these tiny, tiny little balls, these were where we have been. So we first came down and we separated the mitosis of the soul. And then as we got down here to the bottom, we started then to breathe back in. So this was the exhalation. And now we're in the inhalation, or the rolling up of the scroll. It was actually how they worded it. So we're moving up into and integrating our higher self more and more. And often I'm also noticing we're finding each other. So it's like, because we are omnipresent. And so we're actually connecting with ourself embodied here now. It's the most bizarre. Quantum is often very difficult to translate to our own logic, the logic we utilize. But that you brought that up, and I know Guardian wanted to say something too, but I just wanted to show that graph.
Beautiful.
Yeah, it's so difficult to convey these concepts in like a two-dimensional drawing. So congratulations.
Yeah, seriously.
Yeah, just also wanted to confirm what Yolanda was speaking about, like clearing of dark beings, and I'm not sure if I can say that it's like more higher level stuff. So don't play with this, kids.
Yeah.
Because you can, if you get into that situation, you could be overwhelmed by all that trauma and nastiness that being has accumulated within itself, and you can be showered or overwhelmed by all that trauma and nasty energies. So first you have to learn to hold your own energy, even in the most darkest of situations, to show light and to bring in the healing frequencies for other beings as well. But it's totally, I also had it with distorted and corrupted ETs as well, or humans who were, I don't know when they lived, but they became so distorted and in some kind of shadow realms, they haven't incarnated for many thousands of years maybe.
Okay.
And they have completely lost their humanity and became something else. So there's a lot of shit accumulated on planet Earth. We have a long way to heal all the trauma that has been perpetuated for many thousands of years.
Right. And it's hard to do that stuff I'm sorry, Pamela, go ahead.
Okay, I'm just going to share real quick and I'll let you have it. Just one more thing to add about that whole merging thing is that many of us already merge with what we call our higher selves throughout our lifetime. It's called a profound change in mind and body. We all have them. Sometimes it's associated with trauma, near-death experience related kind of trauma. Not always, though. And, it's just something that we've accepted, that over time, we become a whole different person. If you look at who you were when you were younger. And some of these occurrences have to do with you merging with your higher self. I know this sounds really strange, but then your higher self becomes your higher self, and so on and so forth. And while we integrate in this way, we also are reunited with memory. And memory is connected to the hippocampus, which right now, if we look energetically within most people that are wandering the streets, you'll see that their hippocampus, which is right behind their nose in their brain, which is responsible for long-term memory, is lighting up like a light bulb. It's a phenomenon that I had a communication with Spirit about that has to do with releasing and opening up the third eye and releasing the stuff that is connected to what we've been associating with the brainstem, calling it the reptilian brain, when it's actually almost not quite parasitic, but there's some type of a drawing energy off of you, kind of energy to this part of the brainstem area that's being released right now. And so this is making all of these due to the hippocampus growing in this light.
Wow.
And I just got to say a couple more things. Just really quickly. This is jumping around, though. To answer back to an earlier comment, I was shown this example, so I'm going to show it to you guys. And then I'm going to just really quickly. So I was in meditation, and I usually do with it. I wake up and I go into meditation, then my daughter will come wake me up. Or come get me after she wakes up. She was asleep. I was in meditation, and they showed me that we were going through a black hole. The black hole was a portal. It wasn't bad. It's not scary. And I had this communication with spirit. It was beautiful. I got all this knowledge about it. And while it was happening, I was brought back abruptly because my daughter woke up and came and laid down on my hip or my thigh, because I was sitting in lotus position. And she just dreamt that we were going through a black hole. And she said, we're going to the correct universe for our energy. And she had a song. When she talks to her guides, they communicate to her through song. And then I turned on YouTube to make, music happen while I was making breakfast. And the first thing on the front said, was a release from NASA saying, there's a black hole next to us, and it just turned to face us. And then now NASA's saying, we think we might be in a black hole. And they're trying to make it be scary, right? Now, I'm bringing this story forward because there was many ways that we were told the same thing just then. And it could be more palatable to a person to read it in the news. And it may be more palatable. For me, I appreciated hearing about it from my guides, from spirit, before that, because I wouldn't even listen to it probably. My daughter needed to have a melody brought to her to help her understand, and that they showed her that we're going to a better place. And I also see it, they showed it to me like a wormhole, that black holes aren't scary at all. That when they talk about spaghettification, that actually happens when I put a little video up, I made it, of this fly going down this vortex of water in the bathtub. It stretches too. It looks like it stretches too. It's a visual thing. They've taught us that it's scary, and it's not. But see how I needed all those layers to be able to understand that. And that's another way of communication that occurs. So
that's amazing. Yeah, there's not been any definitive proof of the definition of a black hole. And I knew that there was like new research and everything, but I hadn't heard that the black hole was facing us and that they think we're in it now. This is the first. I don't know about Guardian, but yeah, news to me.
Yeah, I haven't heard it either, but I haven't really had many experiences with black holes. So
I think it's just really a cool example. I'll share the content if you're interested.
It's very cool.
And it's just useful to be aware of. That's how a lot of these things are conveyed, and one more thing too. Someone asked a question, and this is connected to both of you, and I don't know if you even fully know it. She asked, Rose Matter asked Mila, I've been getting the energy of Merlin coming in. I just wondered if you knew whether he was a guy or a conscious thing, energy, excuse me. And I'm going to give it to y'all, but I'm just going to add my 2 cents real quick, is that Merlin is many. I've always gotten that Merlin is like a collective, and there's many of them. One of the Merlins was Thoth or Thoth. Okay. There's a lot of Merlin messages found within the stories of Jesus. There's a lot of Merlin messages found in the stories of Odin, of Horus, of Thoth. I mean, you can find the Merlin, the wandering wizard, is a real common theme among all these different ancient cultures. Also, they'll usually comes on a boat, but that doesn't mean it's not a spaceship. Anyway, so you guys know what do you have any input that you'd like to add to that question?
I was
Not
going to
on
say
my end.
something. I was going to say something similar, although I didn't think about the collective part exactly. But yes, I concur. Just in that the energy is able to, because it's an energy. Basically, it's the energy of the magus. I always think of that, and I don't know if I'm pronouncing that word properly, but the magus, magi, magus. I
Oh,
guess
Maggies.
yeah. Or magi. I guess that's why I make the G soft, because I think of magi, magic. But anyway, it's so interesting that Merlin energy, but it is specific though. It is like a specific type of energy in a lot of us. And the Merlin energy tends to find you when you're ready to the word that I'm looking for. When you're a student, when you're ready to be a student, when you're ready to move to some next level, it tends to find you, or you're suddenly working with it. I know I've been working with the Merlin energy a lot, actually, and probably a lot of us have, because we're in a creative mode. Like, it's such a creative time, and yeah, it's big right now. So that's interesting that you brought that up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just have like
Yeah.
a little note. I was listening to the audiobook of Graham Hancock's Fingerprints of the Gods.
Yeah.
And he's talking about many different ancient civilizations, how they have their creation myths, and they all have this civilizer figure in their culture. And that guy is usually a white guy, tall, with robes, and has a white beard and comes in a ship. So
Yep.
Yeah.
With many names.
Interesting coincidence.
Like Quetzalcoatl. I said that wrong. How do you?
I think
I'm going to say it wrong too.
Quetzalcoatl, I think. Quetzalcoatl, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quetzalcoatl.
Thank you. I tried. Yeah, they're everywhere though. And one other thing that's a really interesting common theme among them is that these beings, these individuals, though many are thinking it's the same one, when I connected to it, it feels like a collective. So there's always a theme of bringing the blue, which is a whole fascinating, it's like the invisible ink of spirit almost, because until recently, very few people could actually see blue. In fact, if there's a small amount of color blindness that's going on with a person, it'll typically be the blue that's missing. It's super common. And in fact, only just a couple hundred years ago, they called blue black.
Okay.
So that's another point that he always brings. And blue, the kind of blue that I see when I connect with, it feels very much like Archangel Michael, which is really crossing another, and combining more lines. So it's really fascinating.
Yeah, for me, example, Thoth is also blue. I know that he's emerald and all that, but for me, it's blue. So
look at that.
For some reason.
Yeah, it's a very healing color too, because Arcturian, I don't know who else has this experience either, because I'm not sure it's everybody, but it's also associated with, like, if you have a lot of Arcturian energies around you or integrated into you, is a lot of blue as well.
Right.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Plus, I'm a Blu-ray on top of that.
And also Sirians are very bluish. So
Sirians, yeah. Very healing, magical energy. I hadn't thought of it.
And also very protective as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so cool. And then, Mother Mary was usually associated with blue. And recently she's been coming through as like this pink. Which I think is really, she calls it the pink frequency, but she is many. And it's like a whole nother collective of mothers that I don't fully wrap my mind around yet. But I mean, those who join the meditations or listen to any of them that I do, they're all in channeled state. I don't know what's going to happen. I set an intention, sometimes a loose intention, but it's just like, this is, we want everybody to get what they need kind of thing. And it's so fun to listen back. I don't typically do it, but it's fun to notice it. My voice will even change, and my vocabulary will be more precise or flowy. It changes. And anyway, this transition from Mother Mary from the blue into the pink is fascinating to me.
It's funny, I got like such a warm feeling even when by you just saying it. I've been seeing that too. Specifically with Mary, that's interesting because I don't even think I consciously made the connection yet. But yeah, there's a more compassionate, love-centered. It makes me think of rose quartz. It makes me think of, yeah, this sort of unifying energy, but through the feminine. I don't even want to just say the feminine. It is specifically like, I don't know. There's a lot of unifying energy, specifically with unions. Whether it's not necessarily individuals that we even know, but there are some unions coming together or searching for each other right now, and it's major. I know that's not a thing that we want to get into. I'm sure, like, a lot of different beliefs around that. Some people say twin flames, and it's not always about romance necessarily, anyway. But yeah, there's a lot of really compassionate, beautiful, allowing for space type of energy, allowing us, ourselves to nurture, allowing the other to be nurtured and grow type of energy, versus pushing for something or putting action to everything.
Yeah, the competition died away.
Yeah.
Which I'm so grateful for. I've never been a competitive person. I'm so happy. It's over.
Well, it's caused a big enough problem. And, the whole reason for this false competition is just to keep the division. If you think you have to compete against somebody for a resource, then, they're always going to be fighting over here and staying right at this level and not able to advance any further. So there's definitely been a purpose behind that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can also remember I read back in the days regarding Blu-rays and indigos that we don't really like this whole notion of competition.
Mm-hmm.
What we really like to do is like shine and like show our gifts and like demonstrate what we can do.
Mm-hmm.
So that's definitely true for me as well. But yeah, I also really hated while I was growing up this whole notion that you have to compete against others and you have to be better than the other. And it was like, why?
Exactly.
It's so uncomfortable and counterproductive.
Yeah. Takes the fun away. Like, I'll be doing something all day long and have a great time, but someone wants to like compete. All of a sudden, it's like, I got something better to do, And it's funny because I typically throughout my life, how my life has worked is that I'll start doing something somewhere else to get away from the crowd, the group of obnoxious arguers and, people who are competing.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody comes over there. Like I'm not doing it on purpose. I'm creating a space because that space feels contrary. That energy is not good I don't want that. And then people are
they're
like,
not even enjoying their own energies. They want to be in your space.
It's the craziest thing.
Well, and it's so hurtful too. It encourages people to hurt other people.
Yeah.
So, when you're trying to, like you were talking about Guardian, the Blu-rays and indigos, that template, that blueprint, basically just wanting to shine. So you want to just give your gifts, but that's misinterpreted by people who are only in a competitive mode. It's very much misinterpreted. Mm-hmm. And so, then somebody's got to come and try to stop you, try to compete with you, because if you succeed in this, then I can't. And of course, that's all false. There's no such thing. There's room for
you're stopping yourself. Like, I just recognized in the past few months that I was like dimming my own light for other people.
Yeah.
And I didn't even realize what I was doing for many, many years. And I was like, holy shit. Like, and I was like unconsciously like holding myself back in many, many situations and conditions to like not, I don't know, like to unleash the full extent of who I am, to, I don't know, like to, for the sake of like comforting other people, or they would feel uncomfortable.
Guardian, I'm getting lit up right now, even while you talk about it, because that's huge. It's huge with leaders right now. There's a huge wave of like a huge push. And I think you might be feeling the same thing I'm feeling in the collective, like a huge push for people to just come out and be everything. And that's scary because it's like, is it real? If you really let yourself be everything that you are capable of being, it will not even seem real. It'll seem like a fiction that we read in a book, previously. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm only just starting to tap into it, and it's very, holy shit, like, I never even imagined.
Yes.
Yeah, but I'm very much enjoying it, so.
Okay. Yeah, that's holy shit indeed. It is. It's going to be an explosion. We are going to see it, not only with, Blu-rays, indigos, light workers, way showers. We're like going to lead it probably in a lot of ways. And it's not that other people aren't shining, but it's through a certain frequency. It's through the frequency of love and without competition. That's new. That's completely new to be allowed and able to do that. But we had to reach a certain point. We had to go through certain things to be able to understand truly that we're worthy. Because in the previous paradigm, there was a scale, everything was metered and measured and had to meet a false standard. But, the standard the standard is being. The standard is being alive and breathing and, having joy and that expression of joy. And that's limitless. There's no limit to that. Yeah. So what happens when you have a lot of people running around understanding that they're limitless is no one can control them. There's no need because it's coming through the heart anyway. The need for control is the need to control, keep someone from hurting someone else and, make sure everyone has resources. Well, what happens if we realize that the resources are not as limited as we have been led to believe?
Exactly.
Yeah, like I found it so hilarious. I think it was a few years ago that we have an energy crisis in a universe that is made out of purely of energies.
Made from energy. Thank you. Thank you.
It's all exactly what you said. If we draw someone's energy into their place of fear, in the place of lack, and then having that added energy that's been attached somehow connected to our brain stem, we're having that's low self-worth talk that's teaching you that to lower your vibration, then you can control the group. And that's what it's been about. It's been about being in a place of fear that does drop your vibration. You have two main emotion bodies. You've got love and fear. And I mean, I know people want to say anger, but fear is actually first. And just beyond that, we have anger, we have shame, all that other stuff that we typically will associate with any kind of advertisements, billboards, commercials, low self-worth kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. And then the closer to the love side that you're in, the farther away you are from being controllable. Yes. And also I love the word that you used. I'm going to change it to the word power, because this is my first realization of what people have done with the words. There's been speaking of hijacking from earlier, there's been a hijacking of our vocabulary. The word power truly in its truest form means to empower, to provide the ability to assist the individual to discover really on their own through your own, experience being shared, how to empower themselves. And it got hijacked and taken into this belief of power means to overpower, to lord over, to remove their own power from them.
Right. And so, Pamela, what you're really speaking about there too is taking power, which simply just is. Power just is, like it's literally a noun. Like it is just something that can be used in the engine. Okay, it's a source, right? And so you're talking about how it can be manipulated. This is so perfect. Mm-hmm. This is what has happened. This is what has happened. Take it away, not empower, depower. Right? That's probably not actually a word, but you know what I'm saying. But go ahead. I didn't want to let that go by because, yeah, that's huge.
Yeah, and it's coming to the understanding of what that is will often help you to find balance. Will help you find, and notice you. That's this is the new game. This is my pastime. People have like, crossword puzzles. I play with my discernment. Like I like that. I don't choose to connect to any kind of news, typically ever. Though on occasion I will venture into like not real mainstream news, but some of the news just to kind of play with it. Being that one of the best gifts that you can give to yourself is learning to remove all narrative. Because the narrative of the information being provided is usually wrought with fear. Most YouTube videos have a thumbnail of on the
Yeah.
front. Like I won't click them. I won't do it. Like
Yeah. Clickbait.
it's so scary. The word terrifying, they'll use those words too, and like it not being drawn to that and not actually buying into it as well. You know what I mean? Like, and allowing yourself to hear what the message truly is really helps. Um, I have a question on the screen. You probably also want to respond to what I just said. So whatever you guys want to do.
Oh.
This person had asked this question some time ago. They said, beside grounding, what is a good way to handle our body's high vibrational energy, such as angels, please? Will my body acclimate soon? I'm just going to add my 2 cents real quick. I can tell you right now that it just takes a few interactions with them, and my body stops quaking. But I will have that. Hey, we've been on for 1 hour, 11 minutes, and 11 seconds. Just sent. That's the angel number. That's the main angel number. Anyway, and so you'll feel like the vibration inside your core, almost like anxiety or adrenaline feels. I mean, over time, you'll learn your body will acclimate while you also raise your vibration to meet theirs. So, instead of having being so far apart, over time, I found that it's easier. But I didn't have any tips or tricks for that. Do you guys?
No, it's like exercising. First, you're going to have like muscle soreness, then you get used to it.
That's right. The only thing I would add to any of this, across the board, angels or any types of beings, it's exactly what you guys already said. But also just trusting yourself, just let's go back to the old boring meditating every day, get 10, I do 11 minutes. I like the number 11. So, if you're like me and your attention span is that of a squirrel or a mouse, you may want to do short snippets of meditations. And then, of course, eventually you'll be able to do, an hour meditation easy after you do that so often. Yeah. But still to this day, I'll still grab 11 minutes here and there at any point. And then the more you do that and you're calm with yourself, what happens, it builds trust. We don't really trust ourselves for many of the reasons we already named here. So that goes back to the words power, authority. You won't be so afraid of all of this if you really understand the authority you have over self. Mm-hmm. We don't realize we haven't had that. We thought we had authority over self, right, or we were practicing it, but we really weren't. And now, because things are loosening in the collective that way around that solar plexus to allow you to have your own power, it feels quite like I can feel with this group right now. It's like a little bit of a spastic. Mm-hmm. And that sounds so negative. It's not bad. Just a lot of energy bouncing around that solar plexus. It's not really the sacral, but the solar and connecting to the heart, like what we talked about. Yeah. And a lot of activations are going to want to come through. Okay. But yeah, there's a lot that wants to get finished breaking apart there. And it's not that it's going anywhere. Okay. It's just loosening things up so you feel more free. And then when the angelic energy comes, which, by the way, there's a difference between Archangel Michael, for instance, okay, and your guardian angel. That's another layer, actually. That won't feel exactly the same. And like a ninth dimensional Arturian or whereabouts, okay. Archangel Michael is going to feel much bigger at first. you can almost see the wings, even though technically that's not what's happening. It does give that impression, and that's why he's depicted that way so much. It's more of the feeling. So yeah, you really just trust what you're feeling, breathe. And here's another reason this is coming through now. So sorry, guys. Another reason that you want to trust what you're feeling is because you have much more control over your organs than you realize you have. You have control over this. You've not been allowed to believe that. You have been believing that something outside self needs to come in and restructure or attend to different systems, organ systems, and your body. But however, you can tune into your own heart. You can tune into your own respiration. You can tune into everything from the soles of your feet to your hair follicles, to the brain matter, to your vision, to your vascular systems, to everything. And by that, they're showing me, it's plural because they actually included the lymphatic system, including in your brain. We talked about this before. There's a fluid system there. All that stuff's being affected, you guys. So the Arturians are saying to tune into all of that, okay? There's a lot of energy coming through if you would like to utilize this energy. That's just available in the field right now. This is going to be not only activational, but it's just information. This is information that's available right now. So it's not necessarily an activation, okay? But one wants to come through. I'm sorry. I want you guys to get more information in, but yeah.
Go ahead. I'm good.
There's a lot of, okay. If nobody has, I'll let them come through later. If nobody has too much more that they want, because I didn't want to stop the flow, but there was like a flood.
Yeah. Go for it. I mean, Guardian, are you good? Yeah.
Yeah, Sherry Kitchen says breathe into all those parts. Yep. That's right. Yeah, so just to break apart what's going on, this is going to go whether the people that were here earlier are still here or not, and also a broader collective that's coming through. Also, they're showing me the planetary collective as well. Those who are ready to receive this activation will. All they have to do is agree that they're ready on an unconscious, you could call it subconscious, or an especially higher aspect level. Just breathe. Already it's clearing. That's funny. So they're showing me like the grid. I think this happened last time where it was all spastic and everywhere. There's like a grid that just, it just looks like a web that's lit. So it's like a grid, but it's like lit. I can't describe it another way, like lights just crossing, and they just opened up, and it's very, very smooth across the field. Whew. So everything is slowing down. Okay. So I think that's it. They wanted to flood through earlier, so it would have been much more, but I think we just cleared it out with the speech and everything. So there is a big, big push for owning your power right now. Okay, this is all breaking apart whatever was keeping things closed in, and it just started pouring down raining here too. Whatever was keeping things closed in and dense in the solar plexus, and for some reason they said something about in the spectral field, and I don't know exactly what they mean by that, but someone might know what they mean by that or have a reference. I wonder if, like Elsa, if she were here, she might.
I'm sure.
Yeah, something about a spectral field.
Well, the spectrum of emotion is what we were just talking about, but it's got to do with love and fear, but that might not be what you mean.
It could be, but they're like literally showing me a field. Like they're showing me layers. They showed me the one with this is, I'm sure, just for reference, but they are showing me there's something broader that's going on. And I know I keep saying that over and over again, but there's something broader that's going on. And just through who's here and who's utilizing this information, and they will carry it, you guys will carry it forward, intentionally or not. Everything is shifting. Like my feet feel like they have ice on them. They just cooled off. Everything cooled off. It started pouring down, raining outside. I've got a window right here. And everything just like freed up from my solar plexus after just that little bit, you know?
We had comments about it clearing the heart center for people in the audience. And I felt it was between the heart center and the solar plexus too. Like there's a lot actually happening in this area of the body right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't have any idea what my feet have to do with it, but they are very cold.
Well, water is a powerful equalizer, as Sherry says.
Okay. Yes, scaffolding. That's interesting. Okay, so I think that's all that's coming through for now. I thought it was going to be much more. It was coming in so heavy, and I think it would have been. I think they would have just kept going. So I was like, hang on, somebody might have something to say. Let's just hold on. We can do this.
Thank you. I appreciated it.
Okay, you're welcome.
I know that it's so I guess what I want to do, if that's okay, if we can like bring it back to I guess we'll probably have to close up in relatively soon. Work. What are the different words or ways, of channeling? So that was something else that I wanted to highlight before we closed up today, because there's different ways of doing it. And often we associate channeling with using our voice, and that's not always the case. Often it's not. In fact, if you're not with someone else to give a message to, so like, what are some of the different ways? I know there's automated writing, right? And
automatic writing is one of the first and easiest ways a person can learn. What do you think, Guardian?
Yeah, like that's how I started. I think I did it like 3 or 4 times. It's really good because it's like distracting the logical mind. So your conscious logical mind is like preoccupied by holding a pen and like writing something, even though what you're writing becomes like mine became like scribble after a time. I was just like doing lines like this and information was coming through. But yeah, like that's a great way of starting. But yeah, like I like to think about it as like receiving information, and like that can come through various ways, like in most unexpected ways, especially in the beginning, and that's perfectly fine. I think like releasing expectations is like a super big thing that you can do. Is like I almost like unshackling yourself and just like letting things flow as they need to, because everyone does it in their own way and you have no clue how you're going to do it or what will work for you. So experimentation and just like just be playful with it, like try different things. You can skip the Ouija board. I don't recommend that ever. But yeah, like we have everything that we need inside of ourselves. You don't have to take any drugs or psychedelics or use different types of tools. Like everything is already in our body and we can use that. Like another aspect of it is that like our bodies can be damaged or polluted, so that can be a blocker in the beginning or even later. Like if you had some kind of accident or you're experiencing some kind of condition, or maybe you just have a very polluted body, then that can act as a blocker. Like you're not receiving information, or it's not clear, or it's distorted. That can also be a factor. So take a look into your body as well, because like that's your instrument and that's the thing through which the information energy flows through. So keep your body clean and healthy as possible.
Well, to that point, I was going to bring up too with the plant medicine, like the plant medicine, the psychedelics and all that. That's very true. Like you don't need any of that to channel. I do want to say though, and I know you guys are likely going to agree with me on this too. Sometimes depending on, so I love that you brought up if the body has blockages, like physical damage, even an emotional trauma too, that's hard to unstick. The plant medicine, many people can use that, not to channel necessarily, but to come through some of that trauma and really clear it. as you're doing other things, like so that you can be open to then move to another layer or another, I guess, level, another stage.
Yeah,
Yeah,
definitely.
like also in the past, like shamans like use different types of herbs and plants to like bypass the conscious mind and to like tap in more directly to the spirit realm. I don't recommend it. I never used it. In my experience, you don't need it. But especially like the age that we're entering right now and the state of the collective, it's
Mhm.
like empowering this type of activity like so much more. Like in the past, everything was far more dense, and the collective didn't really support such activities or gifts. So it was like much harder, and you had to like put far more effort into it to actually make it work. But now it's
Yeah.
far more effortless, which we have repeated multiple times today. And
It
also,
bears
like a
repeat.
lot of people are doing it, so the blueprints are already there.
Yeah.
So the information and also the codes in order to integrate it and apply it in your own life is already there. There are like so many of it that it's way more easier than in the past.
Yeah.
Mhm. Mhm.
I also wanted to add something, just a quick little, when it comes to channeling through writing, um, I found that it took me suspending my requirement of focusing on my penmanship, uh, focusing on spelling, uh, you know, punctuation, things like that, and just let your hand flow. uh,
Mhm.
a lot of us will realize that we, if we've been in journal, anything like a journaler or doing diary type stuff, you'll go back and be like, wow, that was really wise, and you'll realize that you've been channeling for some time, didn't full, and maybe not fully realizing it
Mhm.
in this way. There's also been a couple of comments. I'm going to grab them. There's three of them. There's this one: painting, drawing channels, and all sorts of stuff for me. So
Oh,
that's another good point. Then we have singing can channel.
yes.
Exactly. In fact, that was the first time I realized I was channeling, because they told me what we're going to do over the next 4 years, 5 years ago, and everything happened.
Wow.
Like, and I was doing dishes. When you play or interact with water, it amplifies. It's like
Mhm.
amplification of spirit,
Yeah.
and dancing is the last one. I was going to bring those three up because all these are other examples, and there are many more. There are
Mhm.
many more. It's not often even fully logical, like we can understand it. A lot of times it's like concepts and emotion that's coming through, and we understand it, though we don't have a way to convey it through word, or um, so Yolanda Marie just did some light language for us, and there's also light language in a visual way, a lot of
Mm.
different
Yes.
formats. So sometimes the channeling will come in through a series of sacred geometry shapes, colors, and I've written some of the stuff down, and people have called it Pleiadian writing. So a lot of different ways that this can come through.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wanted to like add, like if you want to like initiate this flow of information, like ask questions, like that's the best way to do it, to like trigger the whole process, like have an exact question about something and just like be open to information coming through in whatever shape or form.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Right.
like, that's the first step to initiate the process. If you just like, I don't know, like you're idle and you have like zero intent on like what you want to receive, you will receive something, but it's not probably going to be a whole lot of nothing or something
Yeah.
that you don't recognize as a specific higher message.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I agree with that. I guess, and one thing I wanted to point out, and I hope I'm not repeating, I don't think we said this yet, but yeah, so Guardian, your point that you just made would lead this in. So first, yeah, with the intent is the most important thing, and the heart. So definitely I want to say that. But then just to understand that when you energetically connect with anything, so like we were talking about the trees, I probably, yeah, because it's like it's almost been an hour and a half, so I won't make it too long. But when we were talking about the trees way at the beginning, or something
Hmm.
like that, we were talking about plants or trees, I can't
Yeah.
remember. I think it was trees. You can literally tune into the energy, like outside, like in my backyard. I was talking to some trees yesterday, and I was thanking them. I was really like not happy about something going on with the nature around. I won't get into that, okay? But so I was just asking them to forgive my trees, the trees beyond, just really talking to them, and it was beautiful. And it was instinctive for me. It's probably instinctive for a lot of you. But if you really break that down into what's happening, because they responded to me, they moved toward me, they started to sway back and forth, they talked to me, they understood. And then I could interpret what they were trying to tell me. It was me converting that sensory information, just like Pamela was saying, into human language. So it's more automatic for me. But if you're newer at this, just understanding that the reason this is happening is I'm forming an energetic connection, intentionally or not. Like you can literally picture a stream of light moving from my solar plexus, most likely could be the heart too, or both, but could be from anywhere, to be fair. Okay, between me and those trees, all of them, or it could be one, but in this case, it was all of them. So it's like spanning the gamut. I'm connected to them at that point. Maybe it's a tiny connection, maybe it's a large connection.
Yeah.
Okay, there is a difference. But we're not gonna, there we're getting ready to go into it. There is a difference depending on the gravity.
I can hear your thunder.
Can you hear that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is really coming down, you guys.
That's
I didn't know.
more.
It's raining here as well, so.
Oh,
It's here too, actually.
Gosh,
Weird.
yeah. It hasn't been raining the whole time?
Well, it started to rain right before we started. So yeah.
Okay. All right. It started pouring down here right after that light language. So anyway, but no, so it depends. The difference depends. But so when you're getting ready to channel anything, just know that you don't have to see the physical thing, because I could have channeled and was indeed channeling the trees. In other words, if somebody would have said, give us a message from these trees, and I could do the exact same thing. It's the same process, because I was interpreting what the trees were saying to me, only it would have been for you. It's not different. So if you're talking about a non-physical being, it is the same. You are forming a connection to this being. It just isn't going to maybe come to you that way right away, because you're not physically looking at that being.
Yeah.
But so that's just something to think about. And it's another reason to be discerning, because do you want to form an energetic connection with something that does not mean you well, or isn't aligned with you, has its own motives?
Yeah. Yeah. And you'll often find that while you're already in motion, because that's something I've learned about spirit, and I call all of everything spirit. It makes it easy. You know,
Mhm.
like it's a word that covers everything. And with spirit, a lot of times it'll be, I find that the flow is easier when there's already something in motion. So if it's a soul that's passed and they want to interact with the physical world, wow, that was a really loud one.
God, did you?
Yeah, I can hear it good. It's awesome though.
We needed it too. We really needed this rain. But
Awesome.
yeah, see, talking to the trees, and everybody's happy now. See how that works, everybody?
Yeah, that's really cool. So something already in motion.
Try that. I'm sorry.
It's okay. So it's already in motion. Then it can start to move. And so a lot of times I'll find if I don't take time out for them to channel through some type of writing, if I don't say, okay, you can talk now, they'll just get involved when I'm sending a message to somebody on Messenger or texting somebody. Like I have that happen often, and I've been having it happen for over 5 years now, since the summer of 2020 is when I really started to notice it. Like they needed to talk, and I wasn't giving them the time, you know. So you'll notice that, and just let the flow happen. Wherever it's supposed to come in, let it happen. You don't have to send that message. You know, you can copy it and send it to your own private messenger. So anyway.
Yeah.
I think we were supposed to wrap it up. Is that right?
I think so. Sherry Kitchen says, oh, pulling in the elements. And then somebody else, that's what I was laughing at, right? When you were going to talk, somebody said, yeah, I'll have to try that here or something with the talking to the trees. And then the rain came. We were talking about. Yeah, there's a pond out there, and I was like, please, we need more water in the pond. We need we were just talking about a whole bunch of stuff, and everything is happening. Okay, that's
Yeah.
how fast it works when you guys understand like the power and the fact that these things care about us. Those trees were like, oh no, you don't have to apologize. You're
Yeah.
good. We got you. Same message as Mother Earth last time we talked. Like, we're working together on this. You don't have to be perfect.
Right.
So anyway.
I should probably bring clarity. Oh, sorry. Excuse me. Okay. Bring clarity is that I was talking with Guardian before Yolanda joined, and we were kind of sitting just talking before we started the show. And I was telling him how so many people have been approaching me talking about different types of channeling that they're newly learning to access. And I noted a few people in particular who are for the first time hearing the trees, or at least noticing
that might be where. Okay.
Right. They're hearing, and not just the trees, but the wind and the water, and these different elements are coming in and talking to them. And, whatever, whoever, and however you're being contacted is perfectly aligned for you. So a lot of us will hear these stories of people talking to galactics or to archangels, and they think that that's the only way that we commune. And there's a lot of other really powerful, wise energies that will commune with us. In the Fey realm, they see the elementals as the first ones, and so the elementals would be, wind. It'll be, the water. The knowledge that's brought to us through the memory of water is jaw-dropping and beautiful.
It's the beginning of everything here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But that might be, you might have mentioned it when I came in, because I was trying to remember. I'm like, I know we talked about trees. So you guys might have clued me in on that when I joined.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, it's been very emotional. That conversation I had with what I was talking about, that ended up being very emotional. So anyway.
Yeah. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Guardian, is there anything else that you'd like to add before we end this conversation?
No. Just thank you for the awesome chat, and we could do this more often. So
yeah. Thank you. I love that all of you were able to come.
Oh, I was looking forward to it. Oh yeah. I don't know. I feel like this is always very activational. Even if everybody can't show up right away, there's just a wonderful energy here. I love it.
Yeah.
I do.
Hey, Play Love Remember has the same birthday as Guardian, it looks like, or close to it. Guardian's birthday's coming up.
Oh yeah.
Happy birthday.
Right. On the 10th, yeah.
I know. Okay. I just didn't want to. If you didn't want people to know, I wasn't going to say it.
It really matters, but yeah. Yeah, like here in Romania, we celebrate Monarch's Day on the 10th for some reason. So
on the 10th? Oh, yeah, ours is on the 11th. We do it on Sundays.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting. Well, you'll have Mother's Day and Guardian Day on the same day.
There you go. And I want to mention too, Kay is here. Kay Ndidi is her name. She says, beautiful vibes. Thank you. She's been doing some really cool lives too. Just want to put, I don't want to leave anybody else out, but I know in particular, she's been once in a while just having these like really cool, that's thunder.
Whoa. Holy
that
really,
awesome.
Yeah, really cool, informative lives as well. Okay, complete with dancing and everything. Like really good.
I encourage
subscribed.
I encourage anyone who does have a YouTube channel to, if you would like, I love subscribing to people. I just can't click you when you're in the live chat to go to your channel. But if you would like put a comment in the video, I can click it and then I can go to your channel and subscribe. I'll subscribe to everybody. Like there's no reason not to.
I do the same thing.
Yeah.
I do. I don't make it public, but I mean, it would be at this point there. I don't even know who's all, because there's people from like 6 years ago that I don't bother unsubscribing from. And so it's not, but I'm subscribed to everybody so if people wonder like, why does Yolanda Marie just show up and love stuff? How does she even see me? Because I probably subscribed.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah.
Well, we got some happy birthdays for you, Guardian. All right. Well, thank
No,
you
thank you very
all.
much.
Happy early birthday for me as well, Guardian. I
Thank you.
love doing this with you guys. Thank you for showing up. Yay.
This was such a blast. I hope we do it again soon.
Yes.
Yeah, like you just have to organize it. So
Yeah.
I know.
please
Pamela,
let us
all the
know when we
pressure's-
can come on.
Yeah. Guardian, we put all the pressure on Pamela. All the pressure's on you. I'm going to have to get brave and host a live. It'll be insane. I'll try it. If you guys will come on, I'll
Heck
maybe.
yeah.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I like coming over to y'all though, but I'll just see what's.
That'd be fun. I don't ever go on anyone else's show.
Well, now I've got to try to do it. Okay,
Yeah.
just you guys are patient, so if it flops, everyone will still love everything, and we'll all be okay. But I'll probably try this. Okay.
All right. That'd be fun.
Can't wait.
All right.
All right. And for everyone here, just know that we got a lot of crazy energy coming in, and we're expecting at least a G2, but maybe a G3 geomagnetic storm tomorrow or the next day. And
Yeah.
we're already feeling this energy, the heightened frequency and awareness that's going on worldwide, and beyond. There's just a lot going on. So just know that you're not alone. And just as already has been stated, if you can meditate at least for a few moments every day, that will really help. So, I mean, that's just this is the part where it feels turbulent, but it's a roller coaster of joy.
Yeah.
So,
That's right.
yeah. Thank you again for coming, all of you. And I will see you all on Friday, where I will have Farley on as a guest. So thank you all once again.
Love you
Bye.
guys.